Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Crickets to Cha-Ching's podcast. I'm Julie Berninger from Gold City Ventures, and I'm here with my co-host, Sasha Hutchison. Hello, Sasha, and welcome.
Thank you. Hello. How are you?
I'm doing great today. And, we've given everyone a little intro of you, but in case this is their first episode, can you tell them about yourself?
Yes, I am Sasha Hutchison. I am a top 1% seller on Etsy in the digital product space. I started my Etsy shop in August of 2019. I've scaled it to a full-time business. I'm a six-figure entrepreneur, and I love helping other business owners grow their own businesses.
Awesome. And we also have Naomi here with us today, who is an Etsy seller in our community. I feel like, Naomi, we know each other, but we don't. Technically, it's all virtual, but you've been around our community for a while, and we appreciate all the engagement and ideas and comments that you share with everyone in the group. So, Naomi, tell everyone about yourself.
Hi, my name's Naomi, and I have a busy household of 4 kids that keep me going. So Etsy is definitely kind of my way of being creative, but also having some financial stability for the family. And so I've been doing this, I think, since December 2021, and it's been quite an interesting journey. I've learned a lot and excited for the next steps here.
Great, and this is another digital product episode. Did you ever sell physical products, Naomi? No, always digital. Okay, cool. So this is super fun. I know we have a segment of our community that is solely printables and digital as well. So before we get into the specific insights and the context of this episode, this is another kind of coaching call episode where we're going to talk about some things that Naomi can do to grow her business off of Etsy. And this is in advance of the launch of Beyond, which is our new community that we help Etsy sellers, both handmade and digital, take their business off Etsy so that they can own their customers from end to end and probably monetize it a little bit better than Etsy. It's a little bit harder, but you can do some more things when you own everything, nuts and bolts. So Naomi, before we kind of dive into your specific insights, can you tell us a little more about your shop? We picked you as part of the beta testing program because you were niched down in a particularly fun area. And I think both Sasha and I have been waiting to help a seller get to the next level in this niche because we think there's just so much potential. So can you give a little more of the background on how you kind of got into that?
Yeah, so when I started, I jumped into the course and kind of did everything you guys said. I got a lot of kind of holiday stuff. I was right at end of December, so I was right into the Valentine's and Easter. And I really focused on seasonal for my first year, and it went well. But my first Easter, some of my Bible story crafts really took off. And I thought, okay, this is an area that I didn't see a lot of at the time on Etsy. And so I thought, let's do some more for that. And I really just kind of went for it. And now I think I have over 450 listings, and most of those are Bible story crafts. And it's just been amazing to see the response from people that love the products that I'm making, and suggestions from some of my clients on things to try or to change. And so it's been really great to see that.
Awesome. And you've done such an incredible job. So just a couple of clarifying questions before we dive in. Are you a member of this community from a religious standpoint? Because I'm always waiting to have someone that is I would love to have an LDS member in our community because there's just so much potential in products in that space. Are you a member of the community that you are making products for? Okay, great. I mean, not that it's required, but I kind of think in the religious space, it's a little bit easier if you understand what people are looking for, what the products, how they can help families, and you'll just get it a little bit better. So glad to hear that. And then that just gives us a lot of room where we can take our recommendations to you. So I think I'm going to let Sasha kind of lead. I know we both did some prep on this episode, but I'm curious to hear what her general thoughts are in terms of your next steps. And then we'll definitely leave time for you to ask questions as well.
Well, I asked Naomi earlier what her plan was. She said she has her Etsy shop. She has her email list. So you have a Teachers Pay Teachers store. So she's taken her product and put it on marketplaces that drive traffic to her product, which I think that's great. She's diversified in that way to expand her reach. The things that I would do next would be to try to get more engagement with an email list. Because what I love about Teachers Pay Teachers is that they require you to have a freebie, which I think is a missed opportunity with Etsy to be able to get opt-ins to an email list. I started a Teachers Pay Teachers shop, and I put a paper craft ornament template on there just to see. I got so many people opt in to get that. It was probably, I think, 40 people in a week. And so the chances of getting people to opt in for your freebie are really high. And the way I did it is I put my freebie, it was a PDF on there. And it's like, if you want the freebie, you have to sign up for the email list here. And that's what I did. And I was able to get a lot of opt-ins that way. And so then what I would do is I would create, just a basic email sequence, just so that you're getting in the habit of engaging the people who are drawn to your products. It's not that email is going to be your number one driver of traffic, or you never know, but it's just good to get into that habit, because then you're accountable to yourself. So for example, I send a weekly newsletter. I might send a couple more emails in a week, but I always commit myself to sending that weekly newsletter to my B2B list. And then I have an email sequence pre-done for a whole year for my Etsy shop. And so I did that intentionally. So I think that doing just keeping yourself accountable with some kind of engagement that you would feel happy to do would be the next thing. And you said social media seems daunting because of the time commitment. So I would look into ways of taking existing content. Like if I had made some Pinterest pins, I feel like I could drop into an Instagram story or in some other way repurpose content I have to make it not so daunting. So I feel like maybe thinking of ways to save time, generating content ideas with AI, doing all these things that that help, like me and myself, and I know Julie uses AI heavily to help with content ideas and just ideas in general. It's like having a VA next to you that you can bounce ideas off of. So I think just maybe trying to use AI to break through that mental barrier you've created for yourself would probably be a good step to helping you understand the commitments of time to do things. I've never actually asked AI. It's so funny. Like, how long do you think it would take me to do this task? That might be a fun little exercise to do with AI. Like, how long do you think it would take me to post 30 Instagram posts? And they might say, it will take you X amount of time. And then you say, generate 30 Instagram posts about religious printables, or whatever. And then you have the content done for you. And you're like, I feel like when you can assign time to a physical task, it's not so overwhelming. That's how it is for me. So that's my take on what you could do next for your business.
And before we have you respond to that, Naomi, I just realized I did not give the context to anyone listening. So we have the Gold City Ventures ePrintables course. And when Naomi is saying she took the course, she took that course. And we have a milestone in that course where you reach 100 sales on Etsy and we give you a prize. And you've graduated from the VIP ePrintables program. And then you're still in the community, you're still around, you still get all the great coaching. Sasha is also our lead coach in that community as well. But now Naomi is ready to move on. So that's why we're saying to her and we're asking her more about her niche, because when you're moving off of Etsy, we feel that it is really incredibly important to niche down. And we don't give the same recommendation that we would do in ePrintables, which is you can sell everything and it doesn't really matter on Etsy. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of other people who are Etsy coaches, they disagree with us that you should niche down on Etsy. And you definitely can, but we have seen thousands of students go through this program and it has not harmed them to not niche down. In our own shops, we are selling diversified things. That being said, when we're talking about this new program Beyond, when we're talking about selling off Etsy, we really do believe that you should niche down. Yes. So when Sasha's saying start an email list and all these things, we're not talking about somebody listening that you don't have 100 sales on Etsy or you're just getting started on Etsy. You still need to figure out what you're doing on Etsy and how to get digital products going and make sales. And we really recommend that you're there first. But Naomi is kind of ready.
Yeah,
she's ready to move on.
Veteran seller. She's figured it out. She has her processes in place. Yeah.
Yes. So because if we're like, oh my God, new Etsy seller email list, this XYZ.
No, that's overwhelming. Yeah.
Yes, that's too much. So I just wanted to provide that context, because if someone's been listening to the last 3 episodes, they know what we're doing. But if you just showed up and you're like, Printables, where Naomi is beyond that. She's got thousands of sales and she's moving on.
She's beyond the beginner stage of her business. Yes. So that's where we're going. So anyways, Naomi, I'll let you. Do you have any clarifying questions on what Sasha had suggested?
No, that really makes sense. Like, I think my email list has maybe 300 people right now, so it's still small. And obviously those are very focused on printables. So they're all people who sign up for a coupon, 20 or 25% off coupon off their first purchase to get added to my list. And so I think that I definitely have room to grow in that. And I know TPT is an area I haven't done an email list, so that's one thing I want to work on for sure. But for me, I think when I think of going beyond, I think of the people who've signed up for my email list. They are there because of the printable. They're not there because of what other other business opportunity I might have that I want to present to them. And I think that's an area that I need to work on figuring out how to do that.
So what would you be interested in offering that customer who has followed you onto your email list to learn more
about you? In regards to the printable part, or
just going beyond the printable part? You're like, I want other offers. So what would that look like for you?
That's where I'm stuck. I have lots of ideas, but I don't know yet what that might look like. So I'm hoping that I can in the next few months kind of sort that out. I've thought about training things, but that's not my main forte, I don't think. So yeah, I'm not sure.
All right.
So if you're talking about like skill acquisition, do you like teach, I don't know what, like Christian Sunday school, or do you teach anything like that? Like, do you have homeschool or any of that, like that type of skill acquisition or training? I think would be big in that space. But like the how to or training how to make the crafts, because then you can cross the crafty people with the religious community, and then you got a good group here. But in terms of like just learn hard skills, you got to figure that out. So tell me a little more about kind of what you personally embody, and then we could figure out if like the training thing makes sense.
Yeah, I can definitely see that part. Like I have homeschooled in the past as well as taught Sunday school. So I think, and I'm very crafty. So I think that is an avenue that might be a good way to look at it. Yeah, I think that would be a good fit.
Okay. And then my next question, and this is not a requirement. This is just helping us figure out what to help you with. Do you want to be known like Naomi is the one that teaches me those things? Or do you want to be kind of behind a product where it's a brand and it's not like you? Like people aren't saying, oh, I want to learn how she crafts. Or, I mean, because when you told me you had 4 kids, I'm like, ooh, I only have 2 kids. I better figure out what she's doing because I can barely get this app together in this house.
To be you.
But actually, how to be a successful parent while also having a million different things going on. I'm right in the thick of it. For anyone listening, before this, I was telling them how I was last minute packing for Disney. We leave tomorrow. This is going to go live after the trip, but it's just been a lot of fun. Let's just say that. Fun, capital F. So anyways, Naomi, tell us more. Like, does that interest you, or you were like, oh, I actually have no interest in being known for this thing?
I'm more kind of the behind the scenes type person for sure. And yeah, so I think kind of the second option was probably more me.
Okay. And so when you're talking about wanting to teach people, then would you want to do kind of like what we've done with Gold City Ventures, where Sasha and you are watching videos of us doing stuff? Or is it more like you would have like hands and kind of you want to show people that angle?
I could definitely do a combination of the two for sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that helps because, obviously we wouldn't suggest to you, oh, you should make YouTube videos if you have like zero interest in any type of filming. It would be more of like an e-commerce product focused thing. So anyways, okay, sorry, Sasha. I was interrupting your line of discussion, but I just wanted to get clarity of where she wanted to go.
Well, I think if you wanted to, teach people, because I think the good thing, I was not raised Christian. And I am not a Christian. I look at this purely from a business standpoint because I have no experience in it, but I have the research and through people I know who are Christians to validate my products. I'll think of an idea, validate it, and experiment, sell it in my Etsy shop. So I know from experience selling very high level Christian themed printables isn't nearly as good of a selling point as the individual Bible study, the Bible stories. And so I think if you were to sell like a pack of Bible stories, like a kit of Bible stories or whatever, but then you go and you maybe have a video on YouTube, explaining the story and how you can use the craft to educate the child about the story itself, that could be good. And just, the way I monetized my YouTube channel was just throwing out free content on different topics that I find interesting to help others. And it's related to digital products, but it's also about just, technology and new things I find interesting. And so I think that if you were to talk about these things, people would come to your YouTube channel looking for that kind of content, and they'll watch it and create watch hours for you. And my YouTube channel has been monetized just because people come to watch what I have to say. And that could help you sell more of your products too. And that's how I sell a lot of my printables in the real estate niche, is because I just demoed how to do the Canva template. They go in and they buy it and they're like, saw this on the review actually says saw this on YouTube and was so excited to buy it. What a great deal, you know? So just know that you can create that content of using your products and having a good educational experience on how to use them, and then monetize your channel just through views. And that becomes a new revenue stream, just using your existing products to, start to market from YouTube.
That's a great suggestion. I hadn't even thought about YouTube really. And yeah, there's so many opportunities there that I could expand on for sure.
Yeah, you don't need the video setup I have or anything to do it. I started with just like my laptop camera, and Loom, just very basic. It's super cost effective. Just people if they're looking for something specific, they don't care about the quality of the video per se. Those are definitely more, click, if you're talking about something like some business topic, the ones that have that clickbaity title or whatever, the pretty graphics, you're like, they're going to get maybe more views. But when you're just starting out, you shouldn't be overwhelmed. Like, I need a fancy microphone. I need the fancy camera. I need all this stuff. So I think that just thinking about it, like I'm bringing people into market, my products sell more of them. And at the same time, I'm collecting watch hours and subscribers who want to tune in for my religious topics. You can monetize the channel that way. And that's an income stream that I have that just became one this year. And it just happens. It just gradually happens organically.
Yep. And I think the same advice applies where don't YouTube about anything else.
No, yeah, keep it very niche. Yeah.
Keep it niche, because you might be like, and this is what happens to a lot of people. They're like, oh, but I love this other thing, so I'm going to randomly do that. And yeah, like maybe you'll be able to get a bunch of views. And maybe there is some crossover, like we mentioned, crafting in religious communities, like that seems to be a thing. But if you randomly like, oh, I'm going to start like reviewing like courses or something random, it's a little bit self-serving and it doesn't really connect. If the person does say, oh, I want to learn more about her, and suddenly they get an email that you have this random video that has nothing to do with anything, I think it's not going to build as strong of a community as you would like. Like it's more going for short-term dollars than like long-term building this community. So one thing that I want to know, are you in this community from a watcher, like an influencer standpoint? Clearly you're in the want to learn small business skills because you found us. But do you follow anyone in the religious community that comes to your mind of like, oh, I like this person, or this person's cool, or this is where I get this inspiration or info? Because that will help you understand where these communities hang out. Because YouTube could work, but it might also, like, it might not be the best place. Like maybe actually your community is in Facebook groups and that's where you need to be or something. So that's why I'm asking this question.
Yeah, there's nothing or nobody that I really can come to mind that I would have followed or that I kind of use their stuff as inspiration for sure. That'd be something to look into and see.
Okay, definitely. Did you get a chance to see the templates that we included in the beginning of the course in like the brand strategy section? Mm-hmm. There are now 4. I know you've been testing, so we've been changing and moving things around on you, but there are a couple of templates in there that we really want people to do. And I've now put it as a do not skip this section because people were coming on the podcast and telling us that they skipped it. And I'm like, no, this is so important. But the reason that we want you to look out for other people is not like we're trying to build a business like them at all. But it's just in order for you to know where you need to be to sell off Etsy, you got to look somewhere other than Etsy. So you got to find somebody that has a mature business that's bringing leads through some way, has gotten traction somewhere, so you can see where those communities hang out. And it should be a fun exercise because if you like this community, you're in this community, like you said, you taught Sunday school, all this stuff, it should be interesting and fun for you to get on social or get on YouTube or whatever and try to figure out where these communities are. But that's pretty critical, I think, because, and Sasha and I kind of had a sidebar on this last night. We were trying to take the program beyond and make it even more step-by-step for people. And what we realized is that the biggest problem that's facing all of the sellers is that they're going from Etsy, which there are 100 million shoppers on Etsy, or whatever the stat is, and then they're going to their own website or selling wherever they are with crickets, nothing. And yes, you could bring over your Etsy traffic, but you're really choking the funnel because you're not going to get all 100 million people. You're only going to get however many people happen to look at your stuff, to opted into your coupon code or opted in, after they opted in to be on your email list. And it's just too small and you're not going to be able to build a large enough business. And honestly, you might not even be able to build a business that's large enough that you can pay for all the extra software and things that you might need to really go big time. So we are trying to find a way to get all of you guys traffic and eyeballs looking at your stuff. And you're going to have to go out fishing to do that. So either you can use blogs, you can use social media. And we have, if you go through these templates, that's how we're going to help you figure out where you should be. Because we're going to have people joining that sell who knows what, all different things, printables, physical products, etc. But the purpose of the exercises is to kind of help you figure out where. So please do that, because I think that would help you a little bit. And I mean, the Facebook group thing, if you are going to look at one, look at that one first, because I know a lot of people that, and I used to do this myself back in the day. It kind of jogged my memory of how I originally got, because we have a large email list for Gold City Ventures. It's got like 150,000 people, like even more, tons. And for someone starting out, like you said, you have 300 subscribers. That's like very daunting. So I had to kind of go back in the day of like, how did I build this email list to begin with way back? And before I had podcasts and stuff that had an audience. But then I remembered I had a free Facebook group, and the free Facebook groups are like the wild, wild west of Facebook right now. It's you're, moderating a group of strangers 24/7 who can say who knows what, and it's associated with your brand. Like the stress levels are off the roof. And that's why I shut it down, because when I had my first daughter, I was like, I can't be moderating. And at the time, I didn't have the business sense to be like, oh, I can hire people to moderate, or I could do X, Y, and Z. It didn't occur to me at the time. So I had to shut it down. But I was able to grow my email list from doing that. So anyways, that's just one idea that you could take that, or someone. But we have in the new Beyond program, step by step, how to do that. And just to give you an idea of size, I mean, I was looking at some Facebook groups for Beyond that have 300,000 people. And Facebook will push, you don't have to go out and pay for the leads. Facebook is going to recommend groups, because they're really trying to keep people on Facebook and not go to other social media. So they're very incentivized to make those groups appear to people. So anyways, long tangent on groups, but Sasha and I think that Etsy sellers have a traffic problem, and we're here to solve it and beyond. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always been my thought, is the thought of stepping off of Etsy kind of scares me because of the traffic. And, it's a built-in that way. And yeah, it's a lot of work to bring everybody to your own sites or to whatever. So that's kind of been my hesitation for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's worth it, because, I mean, it's worth it for where you are at this point in your business. If somebody is listening and they're brand new, I think it's overwhelming. I think they haven't learned the foundational skills to do this effectively. But the things that made you successful bringing customers on Etsy, it's actually the same theoretical principles off Etsy. It's just technically, how do you do it? So that's where we want to help you bridge the gap. But yeah, you're already like really ready. You're ready to go beyond.
Sounds good.
So Sasha, I know, did you have any other specific insights? I know I just went off on my long tangent that I was telling you guys I was worried about editing out after. But because I make these podcasts too long, but I just get excited about different concepts. Did you have any insight that you wanted to bring up?
Just something, if you're, afraid of doing other things, you have to just allow yourself to fall, because you may fall forward into success eventually, and so I've, tried different things and they failed, and you just have to allow yourself to fail. But the way I approach it is it's really sweat equity, because I'm the kind of person who's obviously very cheap and frugal. And the name of my shop is Your Frugal Friend, and that's intentional, because that's who I am. So I go, what would I feel comfortable trying where I'm not spending a lot of outlay costs? Because if you're just losing some of your time to potentially hit success, then you're like, it's not it's not so overwhelming. That's why I started by doing Pinterest, because I'm like, it's just going to take my time to make these pins and experiment. And then it was with YouTube, I feel like this will help me to create that know, like, and trust with customers. So then I'm like, it's just my time, and you get all the imagery you need to make your YouTube channel off Canva for free, because they have all the templates, so it's just a low cost. And so I think really you shouldn't be afraid of trying new things for your business, because it could lead to successful outcome. So just the fear, I think, is a big thing too that people have to get over.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of us, we enjoy learning new things and having new skills. So to me, this is fun. I mean, I don't like wasting my time. I think now that I just had the second kid and also having everybody be really young in my household, it's like that the time thing is more stressful. But I don't have tons of hobbies, to be honest. So like learning new things to me is fun. So sometimes at the end of the night, I'm working, quote unquote, but I actually really enjoy it. So, although this used to be my hobby and now it's my full-time job, so I have to come up with new hobbies.
No, I'm the same way. I'm like, I used to love reading. Why don't I do that anymore? And I'm like, what am I talking about? I'm reading all the time, like learning new information. I'm still reading. It's just not all the science fiction books I used to read, but I'm the same way. I like
Yeah.
learning new things. Definitely a lifelong learner for sure.
Yes, 100%. Okay, so Naomi, this will help us too. Tell us more about the things that you know about who has bought your products. Like everything you might know. I'm talking about like random things that people messaged you, what you see in the reviews, because this also is going to give you more information on figuring out like what we were saying earlier, which, okay, what could I create that these people actually want from me? More than just like more of what I already have. Because you can definitely do that. It's just that then that's like a numbers game where, okay, I just need to keep creating more and more products, and it's just going to all add up over time to a bigger income. Or you could figure out something maybe bigger that they want, and you can increase average order value and LTV, lifetime value for your customers and all that. But you got to figure out what they want. So what do you know about them?
I would say the majority of my clients buy for like teaching Sunday school lesson on a Sunday or whenever. So they're just looking for a craft to go along with their product, and definitely something simple and easy like I've done already is what they're looking for. I definitely the seasonal times when you have like Easter and Christmas are big seasons for me. And actually the last couple of years in the summertime when there's summer Bible camps that are on, people buy things. And so that's a whole avenue that I haven't even explored too much, is some sort of curriculum almost for summer camps, which obviously would be a higher ticket product, which would be great. So yeah, for the most part, I would say it's people for church that are buying it, but there's definitely a lot of people that buy it as activities for their kids or homeschooling for sure.
So what I'm hearing from you is like, okay, the target archetypes of your customers, they're Sunday school teachers. There's for the camp people, who's the buyer? Do you have any idea who the buyer is? Is it like the camp director? Is it
probably camp director or somebody at a church? Yeah.
Somebody at a church that's running it. Okay. And then there's like the direct to consumer where it's just moms, homeschoolers, parents, whoever. Okay. So 3 groups. Now, in terms of like deciding which group to do it on, and actually Sasha and I were just going back and forth on this analysis last night ourselves, thinking of what budget these people have is a good idea, because you might make this whole thing and it's a bigger product, but actually like the camp director's budget for crafts is like $20 or something. Like it's like, okay, so I'm going to do a lot of work and it's seasonal. It only happens once a year and their budget is actually not that big. Whereas like the Sunday school teacher, maybe they are going to spend that budget, but it's like every month they're willing to spend like $20 on cool crafts, or I don't know. I'm trying to I don't know anything about this. I did go to Sunday school myself, but 90s Sunday school was not nearly as fun as this Sunday school sounds. I don't remember that at all.
No, I mean, I live in Kansas, so it's very, very religious here. And I get the flyers, they'll send out a flyer and I'm like, dang, that summer camp looks awesome. But I think a lot of those summer camps for like Bible, summer Bible school, it's at the church. It's just day camp, They're not spending overnights. When I was a kid, I actually did go to an overnight camp called Camp Ozark in the Ozark Mountains, but I don't think that's very common, and it was a religious theme one. My grandparents sent me there. It was super fun. But I think it's mainly day camp. So it's kind of an extension of Sunday school, but all day. So I think that the same church director may be running the summer programming at the church that they run every Sunday and Wednesday or after school or whatever, because there's a church down my street that does Wednesday evening, Thursday evening, and Sunday watching kids while people attend church. So, and then they do the summer thing. So I think there is opportunity to have that recurring revenue from that target customer.
Okay, yeah. So if it's probably close to the same buyer, you could just in the summer they get the summer camp version of it versus like creating a whole product around that. That makes tons of sense. And you know what this reminds me of? So this reminds me of all of the jobs that I didn't get after college that I applied to that asked me questions like, I don't know if you guys ever applied to consulting jobs, but the interviews were so difficult and they would ask questions like, okay, I want to launch a new men's underwear line. tell me how I would estimate like total addressable market or something. And then this is me, like I went to a liberal arts college trying to like make stuff up, but they wanted you to be like, there's 110 million people in the US and 50% are men and only 30% would wear, everyone wears tighty whities and only 10% wear whatever it was. And they wanted you to come up with that whole thing. But that way of thinking, now that I'm like years later coming back to it, I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense why they do that. So thinking about this in terms of the Sunday school thing is probably a good idea. Like thinking about how many Sunday schools are there in the US or whatever. And if I were my best case scenario, if I was to reach like 10% of them and they spent X amount with me, like how much would I ultimately make on this business? And then you could be like, okay, then I'm going to create some sort of thing. And then it's like, well, what do they want? Do they want, in your particular situation, you have digital products. You may have zero interest in printing out things for people, but for whatever reason, those people might say, "Oh, I just want them shipped to me. I don't want to print on my own." Or you got to figure that piece out. Like, is it because there's Sasha and I were talking about this prior. There's a lot of digital memberships that are actually printables, but the person doesn't print on their own. The person gets them printed and shipped to them.
People do want that for Christmas Advent stuff. In the last couple of years, the tops or those customized, personalized letters from Santa and stuff. People want that shit. They will pay $12 for that one letter. So if you print it and ship it to them, that is of high value to people.
Yes, but that's a whole thing. And like I'm thinking of Lisa in our community that ended up, she sold digital greeting cards and she switched to physical greeting cards. Her and I have been trying to do some sort of collaboration to like help people learn how to do it. But she has purchased a lot of other things. Like she had to upgrade her printer. She has like special cutters that she uses. And she had a friend that was like doing this like printing, so he helped her figure out what products that things she should buy, like professional things. So anyways, it could be that you're like, oh, if this got to as big as I hoped, then I have a bunch of junk that I don't have room in my life for. Like you said, you have 4 kids. Like maybe you don't have a garage where you want to store all your, extra goodies for your business, which is one of the reasons I didn't get into one of my other hobbies I wanted, which was the glow forge. I wanted that like woodcutter thing. It's huge and you need like a vent. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I'm like, this is not going to work with my lifestyle, right? So anyways, long tangent, but like all things that you can consider. But we're into this idea. Like Sasha and I really, really were into the idea of like you doing some sort of recurring revenue play here with a religious theme. But in order to do it, you got to get hyper focus on who that person is and why they're doing this. Like if it's somebody that okay, so there's a mom like me. I have not, unfortunately, brought down some of my upbringing in the religious community to my children. But like, if there's a mom that, let's say it's Easter and they're like, okay, I want to prep the week before Easter my kids, that's kind of like an in and out thing. But if it's a mom who's like, it's really important for me to raise my kids like in this faith, and I am willing to commit to a membership that I think will help them do that, then that's a whole different mom and a whole different thing. And I think like the homeschool moms actually, like we have some friends that that was one of the reasons that they wanted to homeschool, is because they purchased the homeschool curriculum that was purposely the religious homeschool curriculum and all that. So I feel like that could be something for you to go. But I just wanted to mention that because like the average direct to consumer just go on Etsy and print out 5 things before the holiday is not the right person.
Yeah, that's
who's
not
going
the
to be.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. So like getting really specific on like who that person is. And figuring out where they hang out, like I was saying before, who they follow, all that's going to really inform you. Now that we're saying this, does anything like now jog your mind of like, oh, actually I have seen that, or, I used it with my kids, or like I know of like, oh, when I taught Sunday school, this is where I got my materials?
Not really. Like a lot of it was I would look on Pinterest, find an idea and make something back then. But now it's more just kind of out of my own creation, I guess.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's like what we're saying. Okay, so now there's level of like the Sunday school teacher. There's the casual Sunday school who's like, I'm just going to get a freebie and we're going to wing it when we, whatever this week we'll do it. And then there's like the actual like, who's the level of like, hey, I want this to be a curriculum. And so that's what you need to figure out, because you don't want to create this whole thing and then like you're selling it to the wrong person and it's just not as important to them to invest in it.
I have some customers who've pretty much bought almost everything of one line of things that I've bought. And so I was thinking actually of reaching out to them and just kind of picking their brain to see what it is that they liked about it, why they purchased it, and any suggestions they might have.
That's actually a really good idea. Yeah. for sure.
I would email your 300 subscribers and do that.
Yeah, do that too.
Because,
yeah.
for example, how did you beta test Beyond for free? Because we emailed you, right, and we needed you, so we needed your feedback, and like we're and like we said, like we're truly like so appreciative that you are devoting your time to help us, because I think you understand that too. Like the person that you're going to ask, this is not their top priority, and they're like early. They're not getting the finished product. They're not picking your brain. They're not getting anything out of it. But, maybe there's a way you can try to incentivize and sweeten the deal for them. Like, hey, anyone who does this, I'm going to pay you back by letting you have access to my whole product line. Or you pick 5. I've done in the past. Like, hey, pick 5 things that you want, 5 templates that you want. I'd be more than happy to give it to you. Like, you got to
Or get
make
my
it worth their
free
time.
summer printable freebie bundle, mini bundle or something. And then whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, because I just mentioned that because I've launched a lot of different things and have asked friends to help and things like that. And it's a big time commitment for somebody. So just thinking of ways that kind of rewards them back for the time that they're spending helping you.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
So I know we just gave you a million ideas, and we're at the 36-minute line. Do you have any questions or things that came up when you were in Beyond? I know you would ask me about affiliate marketing and like wanting to do that. We didn't talk about that here. Do you want to just quickly touch on that before we sign off?
Sure. I haven't had a chance to go through the affiliate marketing and Beyond yet, but I know I've been kind of watching and just kind of getting a feel for if that's an avenue that I could add in for promoting other people's items.
I think you absolutely could if it is something that you think that target super specific buyer wants.
Mm-hmm.
Because in knowing who that person is and what other stuff they buy would be huge. Like, let's say that you don't have this, but I'm making this up, but let's say that the Sunday school teacher, whoever you determine is the person that's investing in this curriculum, or the parent that's really important for their kids. They just switched to homeschooling and it's really important for their kids to have the curriculum. Maybe you have like an accessory workbook, but you don't actually have that. Some other company has like a $50 accessory workbook, and that makes sense. So you doing affiliate marketing, reviewing that is important and helpful to your target customer, helps them achieve their goals. While we like this, if you were to like all of a sudden review like Beyond or whatever to that community, that might make sense to you because you're like, oh, I'm taking it. But then the people are like, huh? Like, what am I supposed to be
then they
starting an online business?
They're like, this isn't for me. Yeah. So yeah, you definitely have to speak to them on their shared and on their interests for sure. Yeah.
Yes. And I think that's where like the average small business owner that's kind of trying to become a bigger person, they get distracted because what they are interested in starts to leak out in their content. And that's like why when you're on social media and you see this Instagrammer that used to talk about this one thing and suddenly they're like talking about something else and you're like, what is going on here? I've been guilty of that as well. It takes a lot to build a brand around a topic. So you got to do a really good job of like locking it down. And if you start to even lose interest over time, like that's where you try to bring in other people to help bring excitement and things because you don't want to confuse people of what you're offering and stuff. So not to say that you would do that, but I want to mention that with affiliate marketing because you might be like, oh, everything that Sasha and Julie are saying sounds really cool. And I just want to like blog about my experience with it, which there's ways you can do that like on Medium or Substack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just take it out of your ecosystem.
Yes.
Like there's this financial blogger on Medium and she was talking about something way off topic. And I follow her. I was like, wow, I don't really care about your dog, but I love when you talk about finance. I'm sorry, but it's true. It's so true. And you don't want people to unfollow you because you went off topic. So definitely segment your audience of what they talk about. And you are super niche down to where you could sign up for, to promote someone else's offer. You can also become an affiliate for Etsy and promote other Etsy products like in a roundup, stuff like that. So you have so many ways to keep it on topic for your target customer because your topic is so specific and the people who buy your stuff are very passionate about that already. So that really helps you to take advantage of. They're like warm leads for you for sure. You're not having to encourage them to buy anything again. They already want to.
Yep. And that reminds me of, so I went to this conference podcast movement that was for podcasters back when I now have crickets to cha-chings, but before when I had a personal finance podcast way back in the day, I went there and I think it was the iHeartRadio people, they showed us what happens when a podcaster goes off topic in a actual episode. And they had Ben Higgins from The Bachelor, and he has a podcast with Ashley I, who was also on The Bachelor. Well, yeah, I think Ben was The Bachelor.
Now
Ashley
you're
was a
talking
contestant.
about The Bachelor.
I know. I'm doing this exactly. But the purpose of it was that Ben started talking about golf in the middle of the episode, not The Bachelor, and everyone stopped listening to the episode. It was like they dropped, and they showed us, and they were just like, stay on topic with your episode. Like, don't, just because you had this incredible experience with your father going to the Masters and changed your life, no one cares. Like, focus on what they're there for. So I knew people, experienced people, they have to be reminded of that. And
I do too. You do. It's just, it happens to all of us.
yes. So if you want to talk about anything that's not in this religious community space, like we said, get a Medium account and just post random stuff there. Like, don't do it on the accounts that are supposed to be for your business account. So anyways, I feel like that is more than enough information. If anyone is listening and they're like, I want to learn more about this, I promise you, we do it step by step and beyond.
Yes.
And we're going to continue to fine tune it based on what questions we get from people. We only have 4 people in there testing now, but we've really improved it since then, and it's really important to us that you don't get overwhelmed and that you have an order. So we're going to take you down a path that makes sense for you. So you can go to goldcityventures.com/beyond. That's where you can learn more about it if you're listening. But if you're not hearing on this podcast, it's technically an invite-only program. So you're very lucky we're blasting this URL if you're interested, because we're still figuring out kind of how we want to take people through it, and we're just doing it invite via email right now. But anyways, thank you to Sasha for your incredible insights as always, and thank you to Naomi for being brave to be on this podcast and for also like truly just spending your time away from your family and everything you're doing to help us test beyond. We hope that you're getting a lot of value too, and we just so appreciate everything that you and all the testers have done. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was really helpful.